Question for Tyler. Looking at the way you've adapted to life in the Premier League, how do you feel you've grown as a player since joining Leeds? And how special will it be? I know it's not the immediate game, but to play against England with some of the players that you've come up against this season in the Premier League.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think for me, at the end of last season with Leipzig, I had to ask myself what I really wanted. And obviously playing week in, week out was very, very important to me. When I had conversations with Leeds to go there, they knew a lot about me as a player, and that excited me a lot. So I think as soon as I got there, I hit the ground running, just from a confidence perspective of the people that wanted to sign me. The style of play is obviously very fitting to the way that I want to play football. So it's helped me develop a lot. You know, playing 90 minutes week in, week out, you have a lot to do. You can make mistakes, you learn from them, you have a confidence in your own ability, you're able to find your form. So yeah, it's an exciting time in Leeds for me. And then as far as playing England, yeah, I've come against a lot of those players now, and obviously the quality that they have playing for some of the biggest teams in the world. It will be an exciting matchup.
Paul Tenorio in the back.
Hi, Tyler. I wanted to ask a bit about Wales. You know, they tend to sit back and play transition a lot. How you probably encounter that a lot with Leeds teams playing you in transition. How can you guys defend against the counter when you're pushing a little bit high, and maybe on top of that as well? How much does the familiarity that you guys have with the attacking players, some of the attacking players at Wales, with England, with guys like you and Brendan, Tim Ream, DeAndre Yedlin played a lot of them, Anthony. How much does that maybe help to know some tendencies and things like that to defend as well?
Yeah, Wales, their style of play is very distinctive. We've watched a lot of video on them already. We're very familiar with their attacking players and the threat that they bring. You know, a lot of times when you play against teams that counter, people think that you need to give yourself more space and drop off a little bit deeper to defend the spaces in behind. But for me, and especially the way that we play at Leeds and here, we're very aggressive when we're attacking with the ball. So for our defenders, sometimes they're going to have to be put in situations where they're going to have to defend 1-against-1, and you have to be comfortable in those situations. So for our defenders, I think they're already very focused on that. Greg has already spoke about it, that, you know, rest attack, as we call it, when we have the ball. We're already thinking about which attackers are a threat and what poses the biggest threat, the spaces that we need to defend in behind. And we know Wales is good at that, so we have to counteract that for sure.
Henry, to your left.
Haji, question for you. Just, I guess, two parts, kind of. First of all, how did you feel coming away from your previous camp in June? And then how did you feel going, you know, after not getting called in September? When did you think that you had a pretty good chance to get called into this? Was it kind of at the last minute, or what was your thought process in the weeks leading up to the World Cup?
Yeah, after the last camp, I was a little bit unconfident in my performance. I think I could have showed more of myself, and I would have understood. And I understood that if I wanted to be a part of this group in the World Cup, I'd have to do more with my club to prove myself. And yeah, before the call-up, I just kind of focused on my club game and performing week in and week out and trying to score as many goals as possible to earn the chance to be here.
Hi.
Pilars, straight back.
For Tyler, we've known that the captain badge has been changing, for example, in the qualifiers. Have you talked with Greg about being the captain in this World Cup? And if the answer is yes, is it different to be a captain in a World Cup than another tournament?
So we have no idea who the captain is going to be yet. Obviously, since Greg has taken over, it's been a shared responsibility amongst our leadership council, quote unquote. And we have a bunch of guys that can wear that armband. We all lead in various ways. Of course, I've worn it at times and feel very comfortable wearing it. But I have total belief in my other teammates as well, that if that's a decision that's made, that's a decision that's made.
Paul Kennedy in the back.
Thank you. My question is for Haji. In the second half of the last season in Turkey, you started to come on and score a lot of goals, carry it over to this season. Can you speak a little bit about your adjustment to playing in Turkey and now in your second season being able to score a lot of goals even though they know who you are now?
Yeah, I think for me, whenever you're playing in a league, some players need time to adjust, obviously. With Tyler and Brendan, not every player is like that, but for me, it was definitely a case of adjusting to a new league, a new country, and a new culture. And I think once I felt more at home, I was able to perform better on the field and get towards the goal and score as many goals as possible.
Nancy, to your right.
Tyler. How much has it helped having DeAndre, since you guys are obviously young? He's the only one with World Cup experience. How much did it help in the lead up to this, whether it was qualifying, the friendlies that you had, and then how much has it helped since you've gotten here, since it's real, that you guys can ask him questions about whether it's games or how the flow is, that type of thing?
Yeah, there's a queue of questions that people have for DeAndre, considering he's the only one with obviously the World Cup experience. But DeAndre, from a perspective and the role that he plays within this team, he's such an important person to have around. Obviously whenever he's had the opportunity to play, he's always put in a good performance. But the way that he trains every day, brings the right mentality, he's an amazing professional. So for us, we lean on him for advice and for answers sometimes. Coming into a completely new experience for 25 of the players, he's that one player on the roster that you can lean to in moments of questions or advice for. So he's been crucial for our team.
We're going to go second row right in the middle.
For Wright, Patty Teran for TUDN Digital. What did your family say when they heard about you being in the World Cup?
Yeah, I think like every other player's families, they were ecstatic for me. I think they've known it's been a dream of mine for my whole professional career and also my youth career. And I think for every player who's here, it's a source of pride for all of us to represent our country in the world's biggest tournament.
Steve, front row.
For Tyler, what are your impressions of Tim Ream now being back in the mix? And is there any jokes about his, not just his experience, but his age? Because clearly this is a very young squad. He's not as young as you guys. What's the vibe been like with Tim back?
Yeah, Tim's the grandpa of the group, so it's exciting to have him back. Obviously, his performances with Fulham this season so far, they speak for themselves. He's been absolutely amazing, played very well against Leeds, and they got 3 points, and I was able to catch up with him after that game and just talk to him about where he's at, where his head's at. Obviously, not getting called into last camp for him was, it was tough probably, but he's been working hard, and his performances, again, earned him this position right now. So, yeah, he's a crucial part to our team. I think at times we've probably missed him in this team, his leadership, his quality that he has, just having someone of that experience caliber in and around the group. It's good to have him back.
Ivis, to your right.
Tyler, a lot of players around the world want to play in the Premier League. That a lot of players talk about that being kind of the goal. When you had that opportunity to present itself, what went through your mind with having that opportunity to do it? And now that you're playing in it and have experienced it, what's it been like? What makes it different? What did you learn that you maybe didn't know before?
Yeah, growing up, all I watched is the Premier League. I think a lot of young Americans would probably say the same, although now, obviously, with having so many Americans in the Bundesliga, you're watching various leagues. But for me, it was always the Premier League. And yeah, when that opportunity came afloat, especially at the end of last season, I was ready to leave and have a new opportunity, a new journey, write a new chapter in my book. And when Leeds came calling, I knew a lot about the club through the documentary and obviously what the history held, but I didn't completely understand the gratitude of how big the club is, and the fans and the culture and everything about it is just a completely different level. So for me, coming into the Premier League is a lot. Obviously, I want to show my ability on the field, but the passion and what it means to the fans is crazy. So playing in that league, the pace of the game is completely different. When people talked about how competitive it was, 1 through 20 of the teams, I would have said, yeah, of course. But of course, when the top teams play the lower teams, you're always going to get a result. And I found out rather quickly that you can get a result on any week or any game day. So the competition 1 through 20 is probably the biggest surprise to me. That when you play these teams, the amount of quality that they have is very high.
Second row to your left.
Question for Tyler. You're coming up against a player in Gareth Bale who, at 33, he said he wants to play in one more World Cup after this, so he'll be 37. I mean, just as someone who plays at that elite level, just how tough is that to keep on playing at that level for so long? And is it something that maybe you'd want to do, carry on playing until you're almost 40?
It's a tough question. We'll see where I'm at when I'm 30 first, and then we'll go from there. But it's unbelievable to see. I think with technology now and how people recover and just everything, all these studies and whatnot, people are all of a sudden finding their primes when they're 34, 35. So it's tough to say how long I'll want to play for. But yeah, it's unbelievable to have a career with that longevity.
One sec, front row here in the middle, right behind you, Lakin.
Tyler, all three of your group stage games are at 10 p.m., so I'm wondering, have you ever played games that late before, much less 3 in a row? And I mean, I'm sure that's got to do something adjusting to the time difference and then kind of having to change that. And also, do you think that you'll be able to sleep afterwards?
Don't know about sleeping afterwards. Depends on the results. But I think as far as playing at 10 p.m., haven't played at 10 p.m. yet. Champions League games were obviously at 9 o'clock, so quite late. But yeah, it's a big adjustment. I think for a lot of the guys, it was good to get over here a little bit earlier, especially the guys coming from the U.S. to adjust to the time change and the time difference and get acclimated to it. Because for me, it's only 3 hours, so I can't complain too much about that.
Haji, you answer that one too?
Could you repeat the question? Yeah, in regards to the players playing in the States, I think it'll be a little bit more difficult for them to acclimate to the time change. But for me personally, I've played at 9 also. And for me, I think it'll be no problem. I think the team we have and professionals we have on the squad will adjust to whatever comes at us.
Third row to your left.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. It's a question for Tyler, too. I'd like to know if you, before going to Leeds, you talked to Victor Horta, I guess. What did he tell you, what he expected from you, but also what did he tell you you could learn and get from playing at Leeds? Thank you.
Yeah, so my main point of contact between my agent and Leeds was through Victor. And he was the one that sort of caught me off guard with how much they knew about me. The research that they do, giving me basically a full 30-page PowerPoint presentation of statistics and how I can thrive in the Premier League, and this is why. He gave me a lot of feedback on my game where I can continue to improve, but also where I can have an instant impact. And he continues to push me. I have constant contact with him. I remember he just texted me 2 days ago saying he was coming to Qatar and he'll see me after the games as well. So the support that we have from that staff was one of the main reasons that I was intrigued to go to Leeds.